Oh, yes. What's going on, everybody? It's Wednesday night. We are just a couple of short days away here from UFC 278, which is going to be headlined by Kamaru Usman versus Leon Scott. Can't wait for this fight. The welterweight championship on the line once again, and Usman looking for his 16th straight UFC victory, stuff that legends are made of. What's going on to everybody in the chat? I hope everybody's having a great night. I hope everybody's getting ready to stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC 278. And I am here tonight to share all my stats with you, to talk with you guys, to answer your questions, and to figure out how it is that we are going to make some money on this card by gambling, doing what we all love to do, gambling on sports, gambling on MMA. Free Marshawn Lynch. I got my Marshawn Lynch jersey on here today. His third fake DUI. This is clearly bullshit. So let's get Marshawn Lynch back on the streets. He's my favorite running back next to Walter Payton, the greatest of all time, you guys. Let's say what's up to you guys in the chat. I hope everybody is doing well tonight. And who was the first in the room today? Let's see. It looks like, yes, it was my guy Matt Marlowe in the room saying, laughing my ass off. That is a top-tier thumbnail, Weezy. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, that is obviously, it is WuTang Clan season. It is Wu Yanan fighting against Lucy Purelova, so I can't wait to see that one. It's on the main card, you guys. They put it on the main card. They took Alexander Romanov versus Marcin Tabura, a high-level heavyweight fight, and they took that off the main card so that you could pay $75 to, after you watch Harry Hunsucker get slept in 60 seconds, you can watch Lucy Purelova, fresh off of her 4-1 stint in Octagon, fight Wu Yanan on the main card. I am not fucking joking you. Let's let that sink in for just a minute. Leo Santos versus Jared Gordon, not main card worthy. Marcin Tabura versus Alexander King Kong Romanov, not main card worthy. Lucy Purelova versus Wu Yanan is main card worthy for 278. Dana White, UFC, what are you doing? Who are you crapping? What the hell is that? That's terrible. Just my 2 cents on that one, but that is unacceptable. What are they doing to us? Pillow Fist Brits in the room saying Weezy's gonna bring the motherfucking ruckus. We're gonna bring that ruckus like the Wu-Tang Clan, you guys. That's the kind of ruckus we're looking to bring to these bookies this weekend. Pillow Fist, good to see you in here, brother. Thanks for hanging out. My guy Victor De Jesus is in the room saying, "Oi, yes, what's up, Weezy? Question, when are you doing story time again? I laughed my ass off yesterday with the bathroom story. Yeah, that was a fun story, wasn't it? Yeah, if you guys did not catch just the tip yesterday, I time-stamped it right in the middle there between the prelims and the main card. We did a story time with Uncle Weezy telling you about a triumphant time that I stood up for myself in a bathroom and righted a wrong in the way that a champion rights a wrong, you guys. So you could check out that story. It's an inspirational story. It's a story that I hope gives everybody strength. It's a story that I hope you can tell your grandchildren in order to inspire them to do the things that you didn't have the strength to do yourself. So, yeah, check it out if you get the chance. Victor, thank you so much for supporting the show last night, brother. It means so much, man. And I am going to be buying some tequila after this week off because this is my last content here for about a week and a half, you guys. Going to take some time off with the no UFC next week, get some things caught up on my end. And by the way, I just wanted to talk about something real quick before we get started with the rest of the show. The link to my new Patreon is in the description of this video. For $5 a month, you can support me by getting the stats and my track bets and all that stuff All those stats that I've been giving out for free for a very long time. Now you can get them in advance of when I give them out on Tuesdays by signing up for the Patreon. And it's a great way to support me, support the channel, support the work that I do. And then also for $20 a month, I'll give you access to the prop template that I put together, which is really like the best data-driven way to analyze all the time props on these cards. It comes with the analytics for 3-round and 5-round fights, fighters' finish rates, fighters over 0.5 rates, fighters' fight starts round 2 rates, but basically any prop bet that you can make that is time related. I have the analytics for that, and they're all available for $20 a month if you want the advanced tier, and just $5 a month if you want to support me just for the work that I do and the stats that I provide. So I appreciate you listening to that little pitch about the Patreon. The link is in the description. So thank you for letting me get that off my chest. We got my guy Mushroom in the room saying, "Oi, yes, Uncle Weezy, Wu and Hunsucker on the same card, and we have to pay for it. Did we all die and go to MMA hell?" Maybe we did. Because if that Wu Yanan Lucy Purelova fight is as terrible as I think it's going to be, I mean, they're going to be throwing rotten tomatoes into the cage on Saturday. So I really hope it doesn't turn out to be like that, because that would truly be a shame, because there's so many fights that deserve to be on this main card. And when you're making the fans pay for it, you owe them better than this, plain and simple. I mean, all jokes aside, to shove this fight down the throats of the people who pay for your pay-per-views is insulting the MMA fans. Lucy Purelova hasn't been in the UFC in years, and she's coming off of a 3-fight losing streak in her last 3 at the UFC level, and Wu Yanan is 1-4 in the UFC. What in the name of Jah are they doing on a pay-per-view card? UFC, you got some explaining to do on this one, man. And then we got Banana Boat Float saying the last order of business. Yes, sir. This is my last order of business for the week. So I've got a beverage here that I will be refilling once it's empty with this beverage here. I'm very excited. I've got St. Laurent Brewery, the Takers and Levers. This is a double dry hopped India Pale Ale, which is dry hopped with Citra, Mosaic, and Simcoe hops. So I'm very excited about this, you guys. It's been a long 12-week stretch, and I am looking to enjoy myself tonight and talk some UFC with you guys, the people who take the time to give me your attention and watch my channel, and I appreciate each and every one of you guys. So thank you for hanging out. Thank you, Banana Boat Float, for hanging out. We got my guy Addicted to Combat, who was just working, and now that he's done working, he's probably got a stogie, and he's sitting back, and he's going to enjoy some Ask Weezy, just like I'm going to enjoy doing this. So he said he finished my stream just in time for Ask Weezy. Thank you, Patrick, for hanging out. Thank you for joining us. Patrick's on my Patreon. Thank you for signing up to the Patreon, Patrick. And, you know, just appreciate each and every one of you guys. Let's have some fun. Let's talk some fights, man. Nathan98 saying, "Oi, Weezy, T-minus 3 days until Rockhold's chin is sent into orbit." Yeah, I think his head might get punted into the cheap seats out there in Salt Lake City, and some horrified child in like the 83rd row is going to be crying when Luke Rockhold's severed head lands in his lap, and it's going to be meme worthy. But I just yeah, this is wild, man. I don't know why he's coming back. I don't think you really get better when you're 37, almost 38 years old. I mean, he's not ancient for the weight class. And we do have to keep in mind that Luke Rockhold is a very, very well-rounded, dangerous mixed martial artist. He's just got that off button on his chin, and it's pretty easy to hit. So we'll see if he makes any changes that allows him to be able to hang around longer and really kind of show his full mixed martial arts skill set. But, man, he's got his hands full with Paulo Costa, man. I think it's going to be a rough night for him. Thanks for checking in, Nathan. Appreciate you. We got Papa Chuck in the room and Addicted to Combat. Sounds like an incontinence issue. Great show today. And we got Kiwi saying, "Churro, what's up, Kiwi? Good to see you in here." Papa Chuck, Addicted to Combat. We got my guy MMA Propaholic also on the Patreon. I'm sorry. I'm actually awake for this one. Let's go, Brandon. Thanks for hanging out, brother. And we got Go Flamingo in the room saying, "Oi, boy, nation, unite! Let's get it, man." Appreciate you as well. We got so many of the best supporters of the show in here in the room today, and I appreciate all you guys. At Papa Chuck, what's up, Pop? At MMA Propaholic, what's up, Brandon? Yo, dude, Reno's addicted to combat. At Papa Chuck, tell me about it. I'm all backed up on wine from my Costa tape study. And we got Mushroom saying Usman round 4 KO. I think he probably gets it done in the later rounds as well, man. Long time no see. We got Luke Betya saying, Weezy, do I bet 40 units or 73 units on Wu Yanan? And Wu Yanan, nothing to fuck with for sure. You do neither of those things. And then what you do is on Twitter, after Wu Yanan starches this hoe, you just say, I had a 40 unit bet on Wu Yanan cash, and I told all you guys. And then you just put the thumbnail for this video just below what you write there on Twitter, and everyone's going to be like, Lou Betya's a fucking badass dude. So yeah, I just don't. There's no way I would bet on that fight, man. I mean, I wouldn't even watch it, much less bet on it. So I'm staying away from that one. Like I said, after this 12-week stretch, you know, I did not do any tape study on that fight. I am not going to be betting on that fight, and I'm not going to pretend to be the guy that you need to watch in order to get the skinny on what's going to happen in the Wu Yanan Purelova fight. So yeah, you guys taking a big pass on that one. But check out Lou Betya, always over on the MMA Engine. Good to see you in here, brother. And Mushroom saying that addicted to combat. What's up? Welcome back. Lou Betya saying also, if I wanted to start considering props and then maybe bet them, do you have any recommendations for shows out there? It's my God, you were like in my head, Lou. There is a show on the MMA Engine YouTube channel, an excellent YouTube channel, which if you haven't already checked out, go subscribe over there and check out all the content on the MMA Engine. But there is a show called Props to Consider and Maybe Bet, and it is hosted by my guy Lou Betya. So I think he's going to be going live at some point on tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, in order to break down and consider some of these props. And then that way, after you consider them, you think that you might want to bet them. So we'll see what's happening. But yeah, check that out on the MMA Engine YouTube channel tomorrow. Give us all your best Lucy Purelova stats. Yeah, let's see what we got here. Let me share my screen with you guys, and we'll see what we got for Purelova. So this is the DraftKings stats that's available. It's one of the tabs that's on the stats that the link is in the description of this video. It's also, if you're on the Patreon, you can check these out. Purelova is 8,300 this week. She scores 2.65 DraftKings points per minute. 2.21 of that is from striking. 0.44 of that is from grappling. She scores 45 points a fight and yields 63 points a fight. She gives up 2.61 points a minute. Oh, God, her fights are just terrible. They only score about 108 points, while somebody like Usman scores 142 points in his average fight, or somebody like Francisco Figueiredo is at 108, but Quillang is at 151. So, yeah, those are some stats. And then we could give you, let's see, what do we got over here? 20 fights. She actually lands more strikes than she absorbs. 4.15 landed, 4.09 absorbed. She throws a lot more volume than her opponents. 1 takedown in 7 fights with that sparkling 2-5 record at the UFC level. 61% takedown defense, 21% control time against. Yeah, not an impressive group of stats to look at there, addicted to combat. That is for sure, man. And let's see, we got Blood Money saying, what's up, everyone? Here for all the great stats and tips. My man, good to see you hanging out. What's up, Lou? We got King Bicky in the room saying, word on the street is Woodson by sub at plus 20,000. Yeah, man, that's a nice wide line, man. I like it a lot, dude. 20,000 is actually worth a sprinkle. Brian is taking notes. What's up, Brian? He's saying, oi. And we got Johnny B. Great saying, keep that drunk locked up. No, what are you talking about? Oh, come on. Marshawn Lynch, dude, he made the opposing defenders look drunk. So I think sometimes that maybe like because he's around these defenders who look drunk from the juke moves that he's given them, maybe it makes him look like he's drunk while he's, tipping his whip out there in Oakland, California, man. Dude, that man is innocent and he needs to be freed now, yesterday, okay? We're not fucking around. This is Marshawn Lynch. This is not an ordinary human being here. We got my guy Chris Colandis in the room saying, free Weezy. What's up, man? Good to see you, Chris. We got JSJ in the room saying at least 6 big dogs on Saturday's card. Got to ask my uncle if he's keeping an eye on any. Dude, I've got 2 track bets on underdogs this week. I got plus 350 on Marcin Tabura earlier in the week, and I got plus 260 on Leo Santos earlier in the week. Went full unit bets on both of them. I could easily see one of those 2 guys getting it done. I think those lines are entirely too wide. And it's a numbers game, you guys. If you think a fight is 50-50 and you're getting plus 300 on one of those 2 fighters, man, you have to jump at it. And Marcin Tabura, in my opinion, he's the better striker. In my opinion, he's the better submission grappler, while it's clearly, Romanov who's the better wrestler, right? But it's Tabura who's fought the much, much, much better brand of competition. He's even went 5 rounds at the UFC level. Look, I just think he's better in so many places that to line him at plus 350 is just absolutely absurd. And the market tends to agree as the line has been pushed down to about plus 275 on him now. But I still think that's wide. I still don't think that makes any sense because, what happens if Romanov, has about a round and a half of cardio? Wrestling is exhausting. And this is a big man he's going to be wrestling here. And if it looks anything like the Espino fight, you're going to be very nervous going into that 3rd round holding a minus 350 ticket. Dude, Romanov got to at some point, I think Tabura was available at plus 440 on Bet Online while they had Romanov at minus 510 or minus 525, something absurd like that. And I just didn't get there in time. But when I saw it at plus 350 still, I was like, you know what, I got to get in here. So both of those dogs, I think, are very live. And, it's MMA. You never know who's going to be live on any given day. Like Lupi Godinez was saying she was sick and she was hurt and she didn't train at all. If that's true about any of these favorites on this card, whatever underdog is fighting them is a live bet at whatever price you're getting them at. So this is a wild game we play, you guys, when we bet on MMA, and anything can happen. So don't get too confident in your reads, but always try to remain humble while you're putting your bets together. Because if you get too overconfident and make too many big bets, when variance rears its ugly head, you're gonna lose a lot of units in a short period of time. So these lines are getting ridiculous. I was talking with Brady yesterday when we were looking at the Hunsucker fight doesn't go to decision, and it's sitting at like minus 1,400, and we were like, can you even remember a fight doesn't go to decision being worse than like minus 800 ever? I mean, I think there's maybe 1 or 2 examples of it, but it just doesn't happen, and I mean, it just gets wider and wider and wider. And then there's guys that are just these absurd lines, and you're like, how the fuck is even Terrence McKinney at minus 1,000 is just absolutely mind-blowing, against anybody at the UFC level. I mean, I'm a huge Terrence McKinney fan, but who's laying minus 1,000 on a guy who's got 1 round of gas? It's just they're getting away from themselves with how wide these lines have been getting lately. Johnny B. Great saying, who cares if you can run with a ball? You lame as fuck, Weezy. All right, man. It's all right. MMA Propaholic says, Dana's scared of the WuTang gang. Is that what it is, man? Is that why? I'll tell you something, okay? If I'm Dana White, right, and I've got the main card set, and then the WuTang clan comes into my office and suggests to me, in a somewhat forceful fashion, that they think Wu Yanan should be on the main card, that would probably be the only logical explanation as to how this happened. So, Brandon, you might be right about that, brother, man. That's actually a really good angle, and that could have been what happened here. Alex Ramirez, the general, is in the house. Immaculaton 3 saying, let's get it. Betting the house on Aldo at plus money is it versus a super one-dimensional spam wrestler. Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting stylistic matchup, and I've had my finger on the button for Aldo all week, and I just haven't pulled the trigger yet. I don't know if I'm going to. But this is going to be a wild fight, man. I mean, Merab always brings it, and his conditioning is unreal. His pace is unreal. His commitment to the wrestling is unreal. And we're going to have to see how, a guy who's got as much tread on the tires and as many years as Jose Aldo is able to deal with that up at almost 5,000 feet above sea level. So it's going to be a very interesting fight. Johnny B. Great. So. I need to check myself, evidently, you guys. Yeah, Johnny B. Great is in the room, and he hates Marshawn Lynch. I mean, how could you hate Marshawn Lynch? I mean, my God, we're talking about MMA here, and Marshawn Lynch is like the George St. Pierre of MMA, and you're in here, you're blasting his name. I mean, it's unbelievable. JSJ saying Wu Yanan on pay-per-view. She must have gotten hold of that same dirt Sam Hadley had on the company. Dude, there's really no good explanation other than the WuTang Clan intimidated the UFC brass and got Wu put on the main card. That's the only logical explanation, Jazz. It's satire. If you're going to drag things down, find another chat to do it. Wow. Who actually figured out that it was satire? My guy, Papa Chuck. That's why he's my guy, man. Thank you, Papa Chuck. I appreciate you, dude. Yeah, not everything is dead serious, you guys, especially not in here on my channel. Nathan98 since when did they decide to take Romanov off the main card? Dude, I heard about this late last night. I mean, I thought it was a joke. I honestly thought it was a joke. But here we are. I don't get it at all. Plays and Fades Sports. My guy, Gordo in the room. What's up, G? Saying Hunsucker going to shock the world. Dude, wouldn't that be something, man? If he pulled this shit off and landed a big shot, everybody's jaw is going to be on the damn floor. I mean, my God, what a crazy turn of events that would be if Hunsucker came out there and slept this dude. And somebody, I don't know, I forgot who it was that said it yesterday. I was listening to some MMA content, and they were talking about Tyson Pedro money line, and they're like, yeah, a guy who just took 3 years off on a reconstructed knee at minus 900. What could go wrong? It made me laugh out loud. Because I mean, I don't have any money on Tyson Pedro. Of course, I think he gets the job done. Of course, I think he's better everywhere than Harry Hunsucker. And I mean, like, if this gets into the grappling at all, it's going to be immediately over, and he's going to be strangling this dude. But Harry Hunsucker swings hammers, and this is a fight. It's a fist fight. And if he lands a big shot, or if he lands a big leg kick on that leg that had the reconstructed knee, he could shut down a calf. And I mean, dude, anything can fucking happen. So, always be humble when you go to the window. Be humble about your reads. Don't be betting the mortgage. Don't be betting the kids and the wife on the results of a fight. So anything can happen. And then ring a ding ding. One of the biggest supporters of the entire MMA community in the room, my guy Tajik Bey, with a very generous donation. I love you, brother. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I truly appreciate you. Good to see you in here. Always good to have the GOAT amongst us as we talk about these pay-per-view cards. Good to see you in here, my man. And Brian is in here taking notes. My guy Kiwi saying Tajik Bey, yes. Tajik Bey winking back to Kiwi in the room. We got Lou Betya saying 1 month to Stout season. Yes, sir, it is. It is summertime, so it is not Stout season yet. But once that fall comes around, we're going to be maybe not drinking something as bright orange as this, and maybe get some like black IPAs or porters or imperial stouts in here while we're talking MMA. Oh, man, yes. Stout season coming up. John Smith saying, after seeing the media interviews, we know why Rockhold is fighting Costa. Yeah, I guess it could make for, like, good, it's eye candy for the fights, and then I don't know what Purelova Wu Yanan is eye candy for. I mean, who are they? Who are they trying to appeal to by putting that dumpster fire? I mean, look, people can talk all the shit they want about Harry Hunsucker, right? I mean, the guy hasn't won at this level yet. He's getting starched in the very first round every time he steps out there. But the dude is always in exciting fights. The dude is legit. When that cage door closed behind him, Harry the Hurricane Hunsucker is trying to take his opponent's head off. Now, he's not always going to be successful doing that, but at least the dude is in fights, great fights that are fan friendly, where the fans get what they want. They get the violence that they want. Harry Hunsucker brings that, even if he's the one getting his ass shaved, it still delivers. So I mean, yeah, you can put that one on the main card. And Tyson Pedro's a very exciting fighter as well, but there's no excuse for Purelova Wu being on this main card. It doesn't make any sense at all. I want answers. I want fucking answers. That's what I want, and I'm not getting them yet. So whoever, Dana, Sean Shelby, Mick Maynard, holler at me. All right? I'm waiting. I want to know what the fucking answer to this is, because you owe us all an explanation. Trying to sell us a $75 pay-per-view with that dumpster fire on there? No thanks. Uncle Weezy, if you could pick one underdog, which underdog is your most confident pick? Okay. So I would say I like Aldo at plus 120. I really think that his takedown defense, his ability to be able to slow down the fight, potentially even get on the back of Dvalishvili, he probably shouldn't be plus money here. So I think that that's a nice conservative underdog pick. And then if you want to take some long shots, Harry Hunsucker by first round knockout. See what you can get that at. If you can get it better than plus 1,000, put a very small amount of money, 1/10 of a unit. So if it goes tits up, it doesn't ruin your day. I also think that Leo Santos round 1 is a great way to play him. I think Sean Woodson round 3 is a great way to play him for a good fat prop, because Saldana's conditioning is terrible and this one's at elevation. But in terms of underdogs, I'm going to give you Tabura. I'm going to give you Leo Santos, and I think Andalusa will be live. I think it's like the fight that I had the hardest time picking besides De Silva and Altamirano. So I kind of feel like when you have a really hard time picking a fight, who's going to win the fight, and then you see one of the guys is plus 135, that should be how you bet the fight. But you still might, just because you're betting somebody at plus 135 doesn't mean that you really think that the other guy isn't going to win the fight. You're just saying at minus 135, I think the other guy wins the fight maybe 52, 53% of the time, not 57% of the time, which is about where that implied probability is. So, but yeah, the two underdogs I like the most are Tabura and Leo Santos this week. JSJ23 saying Harry Hunsucker fighting at elevation is worth every cent. It is. That's going to be a fun fight. But somebody tell me why Purelova versus Wu Yanan is a fun fight, and I'll listen to you. And then I'll tell you you're fucking wrong. Plays and Fade saying that's right. I'm said chilled in the nosebleeds. Yeah, all right, that's cool, man. You'll be up in the, because my guy Gordo is going to the fights, man. So hopefully he's not the guy in the cheap seats that gets Luke Rockhold's severed head punted into his lap. It would be much funnier if it was a young child, a young Mormon child at that. I think that would even be funnier. But yeah, It's going to be, have fun at the fights, Gordo. That is going to be a great time, man. Press the like button, says Brian. I agree with you, man. Smash that like button and the subscribe button if you haven't already. And B saying, drop it in oi and smash the like. What's up, B? Always good to see you checking in here from Canada. We got Samuel Gilly saying parlayed Paolo money line and over 2.5 for the main event at minus. I love that. I love that. So let's just look at the prop template here, right? And so you've got the over 2.5 for that main event. So let's look at that in the prop template. Give you guys a little sneak peek of what you get for the premium Patreon here. So if we're looking at the over 2.5 for the main event, I see that sitting between minus 285 and like minus 345. So I'll put in the Caesars line, which is around the middle at minus 320. And that is the over minus 320. So at that's about a 76% implied probability. Now, the divisional rate for 5-round fights that go over 2.5 rounds in 5-round fights at the welterweight division is this number right here. 67.21% of welterweight 5-round fights go over 2.5. So at that price, you should be paying at least minus 200 for that. Now, you're going to be paying a lot more than that here because Leon Edwards couldn't finish a glass of water. And Kamaru Usman is usually a guy who's a little bit more of an attritional striker, and he will win minutes with his clinch game and with his wrestling. So I do like that fight goes over 2.5, and I also like Paulo Costa's money line just because he's Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. So I really do believe that he's going to get the job done here too. So at minus 127, I like that. That gets the Uncle Weezy, bam, stamp of approval, Samuel Gilly. Cash that shit. We got Gogo Flamingo in the room saying Onama is going to finish a lot of fools by KO in the first. But if he doubles his gas tank, he'll have 8 minutes of cardio. Nate just drew the blueprint to beat him. Yeah, and I mean, that's what happens when you're young like David Onama. David Onama is very young in his career at this point. So he's definitely got a lot of growing to do, but the kid's got power in both hands. He's mixing together the martial arts very well. He's mixing in his wrestling. He's already tough and durable, as we saw. And he's already faced some really good competition in Mason Jones, Nate Landwehr. He's got a couple of wins under his belt at this level already. Onama's going to be good, man, and he's a young man, and he's got the athletic tools as well. So, but Nate the Train Landwehr is a veteran. And that was one thing that you were banking on if you were taking that plus money on Nate, as you were saying, as my guy Dan Levy says, show him the vet lesson, and Nate did exactly that, man. Nate's been in there in Russia fighting in very, very hostile territory against very hostile opponents prior to coming to the UFC. And then you look at the run that he's had in the UFC, he's fought some really good competition. And still to this day, because I haven't seen the Onama Landwehr fight yet. I still haven't seen that. So that's going to be one of my first things that I do after I get this week off, which starts tomorrow for me, is I'm going to be going back and watching some of these banger fights that I missed over the last 3 weeks because I was at weddings, out of town, girlfriend's 50th birthday, all this shit. So definitely got some catching up to do on some fights that I've missed. But can't wait to watch that fight. And then also just in the Elkins fight, man, just Nate yelling, Dana! I just love that. That was such a great performance. And over one of my favorite fighters in Darren Elkins as well, who's an absolute legend of the sport. So, yeah, shout out Nate the Train Landwehr. That dude is the genuine article. Big fan of his. Who had the nickname Weezy first? You or Lil Wayne? Then you need to get that money. No, so you know what? It was neither one of us, you guys. Louise on the television show The Jeffersons is the original Weezy, okay? So it's Louise. And Weezy's a play off of my last name, which sounds almost exactly like Louise. So that's how I got the nickname. But I will have you know that people have been calling me Weezy since Lil Wayne was shitting in his diaper. So who had that name first? I promise you, It's the real Weezy. It's the one that's sitting before you right now talking about UFC 278 and helping you guys stack cash tickets like flapjacks. That's the original Weezy between me and Lil Wayne, but it was always Isabel. Oh, man, who played Weezy on the Jeffersons? That's what the Google is for. And rest in peace, by the way. Who on the Jeffersons? Isabel Sanford. Rest in peace, Isabel Sanford. We hardly knew ye, but that mushroom is the original Weezy. Let's get the stats back up on the screen here. And Alex Reezy saying, how you feeling on Fletcher and Lusa? So that one, I've just been bouncing back and forth. I mean, I'm picking AJ Fletcher to win the fight, but I think that the better bet is Angalusa at plus money. I think that these guys are very well matched. I think they're both very, very durable. And as a result of that, in the limited sample size that we do have, the prop template does like the fight goes to decision at minus 135 here, due to the fact that 3 of these guys' 4 UFC fights have went to decision, and that they're both extremely durable guys. So the over 2.5 at minus 165, we've got some good plus money numbers right here. And then the fight goes at minus 135, also some nice little advantages over the analytics here. And when we compare the fighter decision rates to the implied probability of the line and the fighter decision rates to the divisional decision rate. So the analytics do like the non-violence over props for the Lusa Fletcher, but it's also one of those things that when you stylistically you look at both of these guys, they both swing hammers, so it's gonna be a very sweaty over. But I feel like it hits because neither one of these guys has ever been finished in their career. Let's see. I did it 4 out of 8 last week, says Lou Betcha, all plus 600 or higher, including that GM3 sub. I think he got the GM3 sub in the 3rd round. So yeah, dude, definitely Lou was on fire last week, man. He was stacking them high. Gogo Flamingo saying I might have to start tuning in to Lou Betcha. Yeah, man, dude. I mean, if you want to, consider some props, I mean, that's what us as MMA bettors do. And what better place to do it than when a show that says props to consider, and then you can maybe bet them. And that's what the show says too. So it's a great place to go find those props that are in the twisted yet brilliant mind of Lou Betcha. So he always has some good ones, man. And he loves to play those fat props, and he hits them. So always a great show to tune into. Papa Chuck saying, I do believe altitude will play a factor in the main event of Usman and Edwards. Salt Lake City sits about 4,200 feet. Wheat Ridge, Colorado sits at about 5,400 feet. London sits at 36 feet. Problem? I say yes. Yeah. And I mean, obviously, Usman's been training there with Trevor Whitman in Colorado altitude for a minute now, since he left Sanford for the Gilbert Burns fight. So yeah, he's been used to training at altitude now, and he already had fantastic conditioning to begin with. So yeah, it's definitely going to be it's a tough row to hoe for one Leon Edwards this time, man. That's for sure. Mike Hunt saying, hey, Weezy, what do you think about a 4-1 parlay for Usman, MVP, and Usyk? So I don't know anything about this Usyk dude. Don't know shit about him other than he is one freaky looking human being. Just bizarre. MVP, I mean, I think he just styles on Mike Perry, obviously. Yeah, 4-1. I mean, I don't know shit about Usyk or his opponent. I don't have any information or analytics to share about that fight, but I think MVP and Usman absolutely get the job done. Uncertainty saying, Uncle Weezy, do you think Osborne versus Tyson Nam fight is scripted? Tyson Nam wasn't dodging, and he kept sticking his tongue out while fighting Osborne. No, I doubt it, man. I mean, I bet I had a quarter unit bet on Nam to win by knockout. So, I mean, I hit that at plus 650. But you know what? I saw the highlight of the knockout, but because I was traveling, I didn't get to see the fight. So, I would have to watch the fight to see if anything looked amiss prior to the knockout. but it looked like he landed a big shot. And Tyson Nam is just a power guy. He kind of keeps that right hand cocked, and and I mean he's looking to take your head off with it, and he's done it a few times. So I'm not entirely surprised by the result there. So I doubt it, but like I said, I'd have to watch it. I felt like Tyson wasn't respecting Osborne's power at all, and Tyson Nam has his hands down all the time. I rewatched that fight a few times, and I still feel like that fight is so fake. I'll have to rewatch it, man, for sure, dude. Six-Man Film saying, I have Santos by KO, TKO in a greasy 4-leg parlay. I love it, dude. That is going to be greasy because that's already a wide line right there. But, man, good luck to you. Hopefully you hit it because I'm looking for Santos to knock this dude out. I mean, he is so much better on the feet than Jared Gordon is. And he's got 87% takedown defense over a large sample size of UFC fights. So Gordon's got his work cut out for him here. I don't really even understand why Gordon's the favorite here, to be honest with you. But I get it. 42-year-old Santos coming off of 2 straight losses with bad conditioning. That's the narrative that's got people running to the window to bet Gordon here, but Gordon is not the better mixed martial artist. John Smith saying, you have any stats on fight ends rounds 2-3 per division or fight ends round 3? I'm thinking about playing that on a couple fights on this card. Yeah, John, that's what I have here in the analytics on the prop template. So in the analytics tabs, which are down here, this is the 3-round tab. So I've got the fight goes and doesn't go stats for every division, women's strawweight all the way up to men's heavyweight. And then I've got the over 0.5 rounds, over 1.5 rounds, and over 2.5 rounds. And then I've got the unders as well. And then down here, I've got the fight starts round 2 and the fight starts round 3 data for all the weight classes. And then all those cells now get fed into, like, for instance, the women's flyweight fight doesn't start round 2, right? Actually, we'll do a different one. We'll do the men's heavyweight. Fight doesn't start round 2 is 35%, right? And then if we look here, we can go to Tabura Romanov and know that the fight doesn't start round 2 35% of the time. And then we could do the fight doesn't start round 2 here, and we'll see see how that says 35.46% right there? That's the divisional finish rate, which is 35.46% minus the implied probability of the line. Since we don't have that line yet because it's FanDuel and they've only got main card lines, the formula doesn't fill into the sheet and we don't see whether we're getting the edge or not. But when that line becomes available, I'll put that into the prop template, and then we can compare the divisional finish rate. And the divisional finish rate is just these numbers here. It's the under 2.5, the under 1.5, the under 0.5. The fight doesn't start round 3, and the fight doesn't start round 2. And we have these numbers here. The under 0.5 at heavyweight happens 22% of the time. Fight doesn't start round 2 happens 35.46% of the time. Fight doesn't start round 3 happens 54.61% of the time. So all these analytics get fed into the spreadsheet, and then we can compare them against the implied probabilities of the line that we have for each of these bets. So these analytics, like I say, I make them available to my advanced Patreon members. I put a lot of work into this spreadsheet. I think it's one of the most amazing analytical tools that is out there right now for UFC time prop bettors. I challenge you to show me anybody that's giving out these kind of analytics for $20 a month. I'll wait. Let me know who is, and I'll apologize here on the air live on Ask Weezy. But I'm very proud of what I've done here, you guys. So in terms of those statistics, they're all available here in the prop template. I bet Tabura at plus 350 also, 120 to win 420. Yeah, man, I'm right there with you, Blow Money. That line doesn't make any sense to me. Romanov's a fantastic wrestler, but Tabura has shown great takedown defense, and he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. You make any mistakes on the ground against somebody like Tabura, and especially once Tabura gets on top of people, they don't get back up. Usually they get finished or the round ends. Tabura's top game is really good. And And then you put 25 on Santos to Tabura to win 375. That's a nice to shout out my guy, PayPal my money, the poop, the plus odds only parlay, the poop. And you got plus 260 on Santos, hopefully, plus 350 on Tabura, 25 to win 375. That is 8, 12, 15 to 1. Gotta love that, man. That's awesome. And Six Man says your thumbnail wins fight of the night. Appreciate you. The thumbnail wins, but if Wu Yanan, Lucy Purelova wins fight of the night, I will be without words. I promise you, I will be like, what just happened? Alex Rezzi saying my problem with the matchup is if he spending 3 minutes every round on the floor, how much damage can he really do? But I did bet Aldo. Yeah, but he's got to get him down. And the one thing that Marab has never been able to do is keep people down. What he is awesome at is continuing to stick to the wrestling so that even when it's not working, his opponent isn't getting off any offense. So yeah. Let's see. Go saying go. We got King Bicky saying Romanov seemed gassed, hitting pads in the parking lot on unvetted. Yeah, man. I mean, we'll see how it goes. You know, Romanov's an incredible fighter. I love watching him fight. And, you know, he absolutely should be on the main card. The guy is in exciting fights all the time. So, you know, I think it's just an embarrassment that they took that fight off the main card. Enter the Wu Yanan 36 pay-per-view fight. Exactly as many chambers as there are in the WuTang debut album. Up from the 36 chambers, it's the Gooch. Let's go, Jazz. What's up, man? That is brilliance. I absolutely love it. Go Flamingo saying the UFC will never bring it up, but Wunan Yu was seen fleeing the Vegas Strip on September 13th, 1996. Rest in peace, Tupac. We hardly knew you, brother. Oh, man. I love it. You guys are on fire tonight. Papa Chuck saying, I think people's minds will be blown when they see Romanov on the scales this week. I just saw a picture of him signing 278 posters on Twitter. Slim and fit, 205 in his future. That would be something, man. He could make a ruckus at 205, man. JSJ saying, how many fighters are sweating the elevation on this card? Luis Saldana looks suspect even at sea level. Dude, his conditioning is god awful, man. Really embarrassing for a featherweight to have the kind of condition. You putting your hands on your knees in the middle of a UFC fight. Dude, you look like me at baseball practice as a freshman when I didn't even want to be out there, man. My God, it's just really such bad optics to see it in the cage. We got Addicted to Combat saying Hunsucker is to blades as Pedro is to Aspinall. That's beautiful analogy, Patrick. Alex Rezzi saying you guys all see Yanni bet Rockhold. I did not see that. But Yanni's been on a cold streak for the Contender Series, and yeah, you know, he's a data guy. And data works a lot better when you're betting veteran fights than when it does when you're betting fights where there's small sample sizes of data, and the sample size matters. So I think he might be doing something with his analytics that just isn't really working. I mean, you're looking for variance in fights where he's betting these over 1.5s when these fighters know that they need finishes to get contracts. And I just don't think it's smart to do that. You know, I think you can find underlines that don't make sense. You know, why keep betting these overs, and why keep playing just because, you know, dogs won last week and you think that the dogs are going to be shaded this week, that there'll be less juice to pay on the favorites. You know, that has nothing to do with the fights that you're breaking down that week. So I think Yanni, while he's on the Contender Series, is going to continue to get rinsed because I think his methodology isn't one that a data-driven approach is going to reward. Not on the Contender Series. He's got to bring that data-driven approach to UFC main card type fights where you have a good sample size of data to lean on, and then you can determine when the inefficiencies of the market take these lines too far, and then you can get on the other side and be that sharp guy on the other side. But yeah, I mean, I'm on Costa. I'm not betting him just because he's like minus 450, and I just don't lay that kind of juice. But he's Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. I mean, I think he's gonna destroy Rockhold. You don't see a lot of 37-year-olds, almost 38, make a resurgence after a 3-year layoff when they were 1-3 in their last 4 fights to begin with. So it's just not. The last win was what, 2016? It was 5 years ago, I think, against David Branch. So yeah, I don't think it's a good bet, but variance is a motherfucker, and when it rears its ugly head, man, the people who lay juice get rinsed, and that's how it goes, man. Hyena 95 saying that I see a lot of underdogs on this card. Yeah, because the lines are just getting so fucking juiced that it's hard to ignore some of these favorites at the prices that they're at. I mean, getting Marcin Tabura at plus 350 is absurd. Getting Leo Santos at plus 260 is absurd. I'm happy to have a unit on both of those fights. Maybe it goes tits up. I'm okay with that. You've got over the long run, when you're getting 50-50 fights at plus 260 and plus 350, you have to jump at that opportunity. Mushroom saying Costa round 2 KO. I'm with you there. Round 1, round 2. Round 2 is usually when he gets him though. That's when the pressure breaks people. Tyson Pedro will sub that sucker. I mean, yeah, he should absolutely just take Harry down and sub him because his submission game is excellent. Saldana plus 300. Mushroom calling him phony, the Greek. Yeah, I mean, he's Greek, but he's not a phony. He's a good, data-driven, long-term winner as a gambler across several sports. But MMA is different. MMA gambling is different. And if you want to try to be an expert on television while watching no tape, it's going to be very difficult for you to look like you know what you're talking about just by talking about something that happened last week and how that fights are independent, you guys. Even though we use these benchmarks, we do it with the understanding that every fight is independent. Just because the last 8 heavyweight fights finished inside the distance, it doesn't mean that the 9th fight is any more or less likely to finish inside the distance. That fight has nothing to do with the 8 fights that came before it that finished inside the distance. Independence is something that statisticians talk about to determine, like, hey, look, just because we have a benchmark, just because we have a genuine or a general probability for outcome A and outcome B, it doesn't mean that it's going to work out like that every time. So it's a tough game, man. It's a tough game, and Yanni's going to make money some weeks and lose money the others. But yeah, in terms of the Contender Series, I just think he's working off smaller data sizes off of smaller sample sizes, and it's not doing him well. Ice Viking saying Aldo. I wonder if I'm going to pull the trigger on that fight. I haven't gotten there yet. Jay Call saying, we'll be waiting, Dana. We want answers. Yeah, you're damn right. You know what I want? I want I want Nate Landwehr just standing outside of the UFC offices, just screaming, Dana, we want answers. That's what I want. I think if there's one man who can get us answers, it's Nate the Train Landwehr. We got Mushroom saying phony, the Greek. Yeah, I definitely got you. We got Mr. Hunt in the room saying, will Pedro be in 100% of your DK lineups, Weezy, with how Harry has never left the first round, win or lose, and say he scores 110 to 130? Do we need to have him to win? No, I would very rarely put any fighter in 100% of my lineups. But yeah, you have to be at least as exposed as the field is projected to be on Pedro. You don't want to be underexposed to this man against Harry Hunsucker, but you probably got to sprinkle, a couple percent Hunsucker in there too, just in case, the banana peel thing happens, the reconstructed knee, the integrity doesn't hold up. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. It's MMA. Fender Jazz saying, why is Luke so cranky? Why can't he just be like all the other fighters and just say, at the end of the day, it is what it is? I don't know, man. I think Luke, wants his respect, but he's got to fucking earn it. we haven't seen this man fight in over 3 years, and the images that are fresh in our mind of him fighting are not flattering. Pure, plain and simple, they're just not. And he's, he was trained at AKA. I mean, like, AKA barely even exists anymore. I mean, Khabib's back in Russia. Cormier's retired. Guys like Luke Rockhold, Cain Velasquez, these guys aren't around, I don't even know who's training there anymore. So, and I know that he switched camps and he's with Purelova now, a guy that he's fought against before, where he's, Perelo's coached opponents that have beaten Luke Rockhold. So, yeah, maybe he thinks that we owe him this respect, but this is MMA, and he's almost 38 years old. If he wants his respect, he's gonna have to do a little bit more than mean mug people on the mic. He's gonna have to fucking get in the cage and prove to us that he deserves it at this point. And until that happens, and until he shows us that he can flatline Paulo Costa, which I don't think is gonna happen, he can mean mug the crowd all he wants and talk shit, but this comes down to what you can prove in the cage. And I mean, I think Paulo's going to destroy this dude, but maybe he's one of these guys that does have a resurgence in his late 30s. I'm trying to think of examples of people that have had late career resurgences, even like Andrei Arlovsky. I mean, he's had a lot of favorable matchups, and a lot of these fights that he's won, could have went the other way on his scorecards. But he's done a good job, changing his fighting style to be more to add longevity to his career. I mean, is Luke Rockhold going to do that now? Is he going to become a safe minute winner at this point in his career? That's not Luke Rockhold. Luke Rockhold has never seen the scorecards in the UFC, not once. He's finished all his wins, and he's been finishing all of his losses. So you want him to change his stripes at almost 38 years old and start becoming a minute winner, start becoming a defensive phenomenon that's going to go out there and win split decisions in close fights? I don't think so, man. I mean, I think he's got to knock out Paulo Costa, and Costa's a lot more durable than Rockhold is. John Smith saying, how much finish equity do you think Leon Edwards has? I played fight ends rounds 3 to 5 at plus 500 on the main event, but Usman 3 to 5 is plus 750. Well, the difference between plus 500 and plus 750, 500 is 16%. 750 is 11.76%. So about 5% difference. So if you think there's a 1 in 20 chance that Edwards has the ability to finish in rounds 3 through 5, then you should probably just play the plus 500. And 1 in 20, yeah, he probably does have a 1 in 20 chance to finish Usman. I don't think it's much better than that. Leon Edwards is not finishing anybody. He's just not, okay? Plain and simple. This guy's not finishing good UFC competition. He can't finish a glass of water. The guy doesn't do shit. His volume is next to nothing. How many? I got to see something. Leon Edwards landed 77 significant strikes in 25 minutes against Nate Diaz. Okay. So that's 3 strikes a minute, 25 minutes, 75 significant strikes. Let's look at Edwards, how often he's dropping hose, right? Let's check that out. So Edwards is landing a knockdown about 0.72% of the significant strikes that he lands. So it's less than 1 out of 100. So, the chances that he lands a knockdown that results in a knockout over somebody like Kamaru Usman, who has absorbed 647 significant strikes at the UFC level and has never once been dropped. So you got a guy in Leon Edwards who's only finished 3 out of his 11 UFC wins. And, I mean, he hasn't finished anybody I don't know what year it was the last time that he got a finish and what bum it was, but let's look. Peter Sabata, and it was in the last second of the fucking fight. 899 seconds. A fight is 900 seconds. So that was a lucky finish. Before that, it was Tumenov by submission. And before that, it was Seth Baczynski by knockout in 8 seconds. But that was 2015. Luke Rockhold was good then. Look, he's not finishing Kamaru Usman. He's not. But, the difference between plus 500 and plus 750 is less than you think, percentage-wise. So it's not a big deal. 4%, 5%, something like that. So, maybe just play the plus 500. But finishing equity and Leon Edwards don't belong in the same sentence. Ice Viking said, I hit Cheeto by finish boost at plus 600 and round 4 finish at plus 2,000. He saved my week. That's a huge hit, Ice Viking. Way to go. Daz Files saying, oi, let's go. Let's get it. Bananas and Grapes saying, I'm very nervous about this Rockhold versus Costa fight. Luke's been training with Khabib, and I think wrestling will slow Costa down. I don't think he's been training with Khabib. Khabib, I don't even think is in the country. I don't think he trains over at AKA. I think Khabib's back in Russia, dude. But maybe you're right. But I know he's been training with Purelova, right? But I don't think Purelova trains. I don't think he trains with Khabib, but maybe I'm wrong. If you guys in the chat know for a fact on that, let me know, because I don't know for a fact. I know that he's been training with Purelova, and I thought I had heard that Khabib and the Russians were no longer over at AKA. So I don't know. Gogo Flamingo saying the one bad loss Costa has is to Izzy, who stands at range and spams kicks. If Rockhold can kick at and take down Costa, he could grind it out. But his chin is probably gets KO'd in the first. And that's the thing. I mean, at this point, what's the difference between somebody like Luke Rockhold and Jason Witt? Honestly. Really. I mean, seriously, I'm not being a dick here. What's the fucking difference? Because Luke Rockhold, you touch this dude, he goes down. And it's not he had that reputation before he was even in the UFC. Like in the Strike Force days and shit. People knew this guy's got an off switch on his chin. And he's been knocked out, I think, in 4 or 5 losses or in all 5. I forget. Rockhold, 100% of his losses, all 5 of his pro losses are by knockout. Yoel Romero is not knocking out Paulo Costa. I mean, it's crazy. So, yeah, but it's a great fight. Costa Rockhold's a great fight. And if we get that old Luke Rockhold, I'm going to look silly for picking against him for the ass shaving of the week. But shit, man, that'd be a treat for the middleweight division to have a rejuvenated, powerful Luke Rockhold, who's a good, well-rounded fighter. So, it's going to be a good fight either way. Daz Files saying, not betting that Aldo fight. Marab Cario crazy is my comment. Probably cardio. But Banana Boat Float saying, what do you think of Usman by KO, submission, or DQ at plus 240? So that's basically Usman inside the distance at plus 240. I like it. I think that's a good play. But let's see. How many times has Edwards been finished? Oh, shit, dude. Edwards has never been finished as a pro in 23 fights. Usman finishing at the UFC level at 34%. 5 finish wins. I mean, yeah, 33, 34. I think Usman could finish him, but it's probably Usman by decision. I think the line that I would hit is wherever FanDuel has that 4-5 decision for Usman, I think would be the best way to play it, but that won't be nearly as fat as plus 240. So, but it'd be something. If he finished Leon Edwards, he'd be the first guy to do it. What is Uncle Weezy's Lambo play for UFC 278 plus 300 or more? So I would be looking at Leo Santos by first round knockout plus 1,300. Like that line quite a bit. I'd like to see where it opens on FanDuel and where it opens on DraftKings. I don't think you have to run to the window to get that, but I think it has moved. Yeah, because I thought I remember it opened at plus 1,500. Then it went to plus. Oh shit! Now it's moved to plus 1,000. So now it's not quite as bettable. But wow, damn it, that moved to plus 1,000. So that's already moved. What else? What would be? I wonder what Marcin Tabura by knockout is. Plus 950. Now, if Tabura gets on top of Romanov, he's got amazing ground and pound. But Romanov is a great wrestler. But if he gets stuck on his back and gets Tabura on top of him, that could be a very interesting potential long shot way that this fight ends. Tabura by knockout at plus 950, I think, is super cheeky. What would be another one? Oh, you know what? For shame on the bookies, shame for not dropping props on the Daniel Da Silva Victor Altamirano fight. But if I could find Daniel Da Silva by first round submission at plus 1,000 or better, that would be another one that I would like. And we got Brian taking notes in here. Daz Val saying four-legger greasy ass parlay, I think it's called. Yeah, we're going to be doing that. I think tomorrow. I gotta wait for these lines to open though on DraftKings, on FanDuel. They got to get these props out in order for me to be able to put out a proper four-legger that's got enough grease on it that it's just dripping. So we're going to wait for that. But yeah, I'll do a video for you guys for that. We got Chip Pyler in the room saying, sup, Weezy. We got Jeff K saying, Nate made you sweat if you were holding that ticket. Yeah, dude, I heard that was such a great fight. Back and forth war. King Bicky saying, at Mike Hunt, I wouldn't parlay with Usyk. Joshua seems better in rematches. Yeah, see, I don't know anything about that. So listen to King Bicky because I don't know shit about the Usyk-Joshua fight. Mushroom saying Aldo, third decision. Costa KO. Usman KO. Maverick inside the distance. Pedro sub, greasy enough. Any thoughts? So, the Aldo, third decision I like. Costa KO I like. Usman KO is my least favorite of those, but I think he's absolutely live for a knockout. That'd be like plus 300 probably. Maverick inside the distance I like. Pedro sub I like. That is greasy enough. That gets the Uncle Weezy. Bam. Stamp of approval on that one. Daz Files saying not betting Lusa Fletcher too much like a DWCS matchup. Kind of. I agree with you there. Cuban Assassin in the room saying, what it do, Weezy? We got Rockhold calling a reporter a motherfucker. I didn't hear that. Paulo Costa crying about his new coach in an interview. Lots of emotion, like a very special episode of Beverly Hills 90210. I love it. Dude, I never watch those press conferences, man. Every word out of those fighters' mouths in those press conferences are fucking lies. And I think it just, like how many times have you seen somebody, I heard Cody Saftik talking about this on Dogger Pass about like, how Rory McDonald was saying in the interviews before his most recent PFL fight, where he was like, my coaches and we said we're going to show everybody the new Rory. We want people to say that this guy's back, that this guy's hungry again, and I'm coming out there to kick ass and all this shit. And then he goes out there, gets his ass shaved, and then he leaves his fucking gloves in the octagon. And it's like, dude, you were just talking less than 48 hours ago, lying through your teeth, talking about how committed you were to this. And then you fucking quit in the cage. I mean, it's unbelievable. So I never, like as entertaining as those things are, I don't watch them on purpose because I feel like it clouds my judgment and it gets me thinking about things that don't matter when it comes to handicapping fights. Bob Spikerman's in the room all the way from the Netherlands saying, what's up? What's going on, man? Have I talked about Woodson yet? No, I haven't talked about him, but I like him a lot in this spot. Definitely one of my more confident picks of the week. I think Woodson round 3 would be a great Lambo play, actually. Woodson round 3 is only plus 650. Shame for a third round prop plus 650. That's Terrible. They should be ashamed of themselves for that. Boo these men until our throats are hoarse. But it moved. People like this prop. It opened at 900. It stayed there for a while. Then it went to 750. Now 650. So people are onto it. And they realize that Woodson's got the far superior conditioning here. He's got like a 7-inch reach, I think a 5-inch reach advantage. And he's got great boxing. And Saldana's a guy who's attempted 10 takedowns, but only gotten 2 of them. And he's certainly not a guy that's going out there and winning minutes with his wrestling. And he's not going to be able to win minutes with his wrestling against Woodson because Woodson has excellent takedown defense. And these tall guys, they're just so hard to take down and hold down. So Woodson has seen, I think, 45 takedown attempts in 5 UFC level fights. So this guy's no stranger to a wrestling heavy game plan if that's what Saldana chooses to bring. But here's the problem with that. Even if you're like, oh, I think Saldana wrestles here to win minutes. How many minutes does Luis Saldana have of wrestling in him at almost 5,000 feet above sea level when his conditioning is already piss poor? I mean, I don't like the spot for Saldana. Woodson was actually close to being this week's ass shaving of the week. And I think that if Woodson does that body work that we saw in the Anglin fight, that boy, oh boy, is he going to have it's going to be a rough night for Luis Saldana. Silky B saying, that carnitas recipe annihilated the entire gathering of 12 people, taco style. Thanks, Weezy. You are simply the man and new. Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad you tried that, too, because that carnitas is so legit. I believe we talked about this last week on Ask Weezy. Somebody asked me, another recipe besides the lamb one that I gave out a couple weeks ago. So, yeah. Check out last week's Ask Weezy if you want that carnitas recipe. It is absolute fire. I'm glad you tried it, Silky B. Big ups to you, man. Gogo Flamingo saying, I'm looking at Aldo Davalishvili over. Fight goes to decision. Pedro by KO round 1 and 2. Santos Gordon under 2.5 at plus 4.6. Do you like that? So I've got that Santos Gordon fight doesn't go to decision as one of my tracked bets. I've got I like the Aldo Davalishvili over for sure. So I think you're saying the Aldo Davalishvili fight goes, not over. And then the Pedro by round 1 or 2 KO. You just got to worry about Pedro subbing him. But I like all 3 of those bets. I think that they all have got a great chance of hitting. That should cash. Thoughts on Usman inside the distance plus 200? I would definitely prefer Usman by decision because Edwards has never been finished. But I mean, if he lands a shot like he landed on Masvidal, like he landed on Colby, and it's absolutely possible, I could see Usman after a failed takedown attempt landing a big shot after he disengages. That I could see him knocking out Edwards that way too. But yeah, I would lean Usman decision before I would lean Usman inside the distance. Was Dawson losing that fight to Santos right before that bell ring or hammer fist? Yes, he was. He lost. Santos won the first and the second rounds there. I thought it was close though. I mean, I think that that could have wound up being a split decision that where either one of them got it. But I had a bet on Santos I had a bet on Dawson that fight, and I also had a bet on Dawson round 3 that fight. And what was hilarious was with 5 seconds left in the fight, I started walking out of the room because I knew that the fight wasn't going to finish inside the distance because there was only 5 seconds left. And Dawson was standing and Santos was on his back. And I basically was like, oh, well, I'm going to go grab a beer. I lost those bets. And then I hear, oh, as I'm walking away, I'm like, what happened? And I went running back in there. And then if he doesn't get that Hail Mary walk off, I hit that. I think it was plus 1,400 or plus 1,600 Dawson round 3. And I cashed the money line bet with that Hail Mary. But I did it knowing if he doesn't land that Hail Mary with 1 second left, that he loses that fight. So that's the thing that really bothered me about the Gordon Santos line was, okay, in an alternate universe, if he doesn't land that shot with 1 second left, and Santos has a win over Grant Dawson, and Dawson subs Gordon, I mean, how the fuck would you ever come to the conclusion that Gordon should be minus 300 over a guy that, we think that if Gordon's going to win this fight, right? If Gordon's going to win, if he's going to beat Leo Santos, he's not going to do it in a fucking striking match, right? He does it by either putting Santos on the cage or taking him down and staying safe, from the submission attempts of Santos. That's how he wins. If this is a 15-minute striking match, not only does Gordon not win, he wakes up looking at the lights. So, and this doesn't make any sense to me. And then not only that, the Guida fight. Any other ref but Keith Peterson's in there, that's a first round knockout for Santos. So he could be on like an 8-fight winning streak right now. I don't understand this line. It made no sense to me. So I jumped on it. But yeah, Dawson was absolutely losing that fight. Did you notice both Gordon and Santos' age are the same as their UFC rankings? I did not notice that. That's pretty cool. Mushroom saying, Book's not having props out for every fight by now on a pay-per-view card. Shame is right, Mushroom. You're absolutely right about that, man. Papa Chuck saying, what do I think of my unders parlay this week? Maverick Young, Woodson Saldana, Albazi Figueiredo, all under 2.5 rounds, plus 871 on my bookie. I love it, Papa Chuck. I think those are all really good violent spots, man. John Smith, do you think fight ends round 3 plus 850 on Aldo Marab is worth playing? Plus 850, huh? Well, I mean, I know right now they got that fight going to decision probably about 68, 69% of the time. So 31% of the time that fight doesn't go to decision. So you could say 10% round 1, 10% round 2, 10% round 3. If you at any of those lines, you would be getting, around plus 1,000. So, I mean, I think it's a fair line. And if that's your read, is that Aldo breaks him in round 3 or that Marab breaks Aldo in round 3, then I don't think it's a terrible bet. I think the numbers are fair. Prince of Mischief saying, what made you confident in having the over 1.5 in the Tabura fight? So I looked at the prop template for that one. Tabura Romanov over 1.5. So that it was at minus 175. It's moved from there. So right now I wouldn't be betting it at minus 200. But here was the reason. It was overpriced by 7.25% when we compare the divisional over 1.5 rate to the implied probability of the line. So heavyweight fights go over 1.5 rounds about 56. Here, I've got the analytic down here. 56.38% of the time, fights go over 1.5, and we're paying 63.64%, right? But when we compare the fighter over 1.5 rates to the implied probability of the line, we see that they're going over about 75% of the time, while we're only paying 63%. And when we compare those over 1.5 rates for the fighters to the divisional over 1.5 rate, they're going over 1.5, 18.62% more than the average heavyweight fight does. So it's just showing that even though it's overpriced on this analytic, the other two analytics, which compare a good sample size of UFC fights between Tabura and Romanov, we're getting an 11.36% break and an 18.62% break. And earlier in the week, we could have gotten that at even a better number, because the bookies opened this one looking for violence because of Alexander Romanov. But we got to remember, the last time he fought even somebody that was close to being on his grappling level in Espino, that fight went to decision. It didn't finish, but it went to decision because of a technical decision and the could not continue. So I think it's a good bet at minus 175, but at minus 200, I really can't bless it anymore. Lord Timmy saying, Uncle Weezy, how would you feel about a Contender Series style show where struggling fighters fight for the right to remain on the UFC roster? Would be fun. I think that's a great idea. I don't know how the fighters would feel about that. Actually going into the cage being like, if you lose this fight, you're cut. Because they never really say that before a fight. But I think for a drama, it's a great idea. Prince of Mischief saying Martian cashed. I saw Martian put out that tweet, and I was like, I was just like cold blooded. It was so nasty, but and he fucking had it there, and he talked about what you could get on it, and then he fucking cashes all 3 legs, cashes it. I mean, it's so cold blooded. But shout out UFO UFC. That dude is dude's a really good gambler. He's got a great show that he does with Ozzy every week. Martian and Ozzy show. That's weekly watching for me, and I think he does great work. He's got a great Twitter game, and man, he was an absolute savage last night, man. Paul Wesley saying, does Yanni actually not watch any tape? No, he does not. Is that his stick? Is that he's literally all data? Yes, he's just an analytics guy. So, when you're an analytics guy and you're betting all these different sports, it's a fool's errand to think that you can't even watch enough tape to formulate a valid opinion to make decisions off of that tape. But somebody like me, I'm not betting football. I'm not betting any of these other sports really. I mean, I'll bet some football just with milk money or, just to have a little action down every once in a while. But, I'm betting on MMA seriously, and I'm putting all my time into this to try to build a winning bankroll and be a long-term winning gambler by making good analytical decisions mixed with the necessary tape study that needs to be done in order to make sure that, because the analytics don't tell you everything. So yeah, it's just that's how Yanni does it. So, and like I said, on the Contender Series, he's ice cold right now. But it's doing DraftKings well. Yeah. Rockhold said a heroic mushroom trip refocused his career. Wouldn't be surprised if he pulls a Thiago Santos and tries to become a wrestler. He might try to. Low T City Ortega. Early prediction for Wood versus Jordan, huh? Wow, that's a great fight. But isn't Wood more of a bantamweight? And Jordan's more of a featherweight? I would have to just say Jordan because I think he's going to be the more powerful striker. Wood might be able to mix in the grappling and win minutes with the grappling, but Jordan, while he's got not good takedown defense, he's got an excellent get-up game, and his conditioning is excellent. So I think he wears people out by making them think that they can wrestle him to win minutes, but really he just keeps getting up and he drains his opponent's gas tank and then puts it on him in the 3rd round. I think it's a great style. It's an exciting style. And I think he'll be the much bigger guy against Wood. So I would lean Jordan on without any tape study, without any number study. Mushroom saying, the only advice I would take from Yanni is a good Coke team. Mushroom, I love you, brother. Time for another beer. We're going to crack this Saint Laurent because, you guys, it's been a long stretch. 12 straight weeks of UFC action. 5 different days every week I'm doing shows, putting it all out there. 3 different shows on Pub Sports Radio every week, a couple shows on the MMA Engine YouTube channel, a couple shows on my channel, some guest spots every once in a while. 3 straight months of UFC action. So I'm going to just enjoy myself a beverage here while we continue to watch fights. And I'm going to sleep like 12 hours tonight because I got no content to do tomorrow. Taking your top knot saying, sweet Jersey, Weezy. What's up, dude? Good to see you in here. T-Rex saying, Uncle Weezy, having some Giordano's and watching you. Dude, I'm jealous, man. I would love some Giordano's right now. I could go for some pizza. What's up, Prince of Mischief? We got Nick Sisson in the room saying he didn't even look the same. He looks like a ragged bum from the local bar. Yeah, are you talking about Rockhold? Yeah, he's got that beard and shit. Yeah, he looks a little bit different these days, man. Cuban Assassin saying, Jared Gordon, I don't fight for me. I fight for my people. None of this is for me. He went full mental in his press interviews today. Yeah, that's kind of wild, man, because, I mean, dude, I want to hear a fighter say that this is for me and nobody else. Honestly, I mean, I think, I know that a lot of people fight for their family, and I get that. If you don't have another way to make a living and you want to get in the cage and that's the way you want to feed your family, that's what you got to do. But fighting is the most selfish sport that there is. No teams in fighting, it's you and another guy and a ref to peel you off of that person, when you come close to killing them. It's a selfish sport. And I think that if you're not fighting for yourself, what are you doing in there? Those are dangerous words, but Jared Gordon knows what he's doing, man. That dude's been through a lot in life, and we can never really ever distrust that dude's perseverance or commitment to fighting. But yeah, that's a little bit troubling hearing that. But John Smith saying, is there any sneaky finish only scorecards equals no action bet on this card? I had that on Zombie Girl last card at plus 180. That's a good one. Finish only could be Aldo, because I don't think Duval is finishing anyone. I mean, Usman's a big favorite, so there's probably no value on it. I think Pedro finishes Hunsucker. You heard it here first. So get that Pedro finish only prop. I'm sure it's only minus 1,500. Santos over Gordon could be a finish only prop because Gordon is not a finisher. However, the problem with that is I think that Santos is actually minus 150 on the finish only prop, which just goes to show you how great of a line that is. The money line that I got at plus 260. You're telling me that if there's a finish in a fight, my guy's got a 60% chance to do it and the other guy's got a 40% chance, but you're telling me that my guy at plus 260, only has got like a 28% chance to win this fight, but he's got a 60% chance to be the finisher. Something that's kind of rotten in Denmark there. That's why that line doesn't make any sense to me. And Santos starts out so well that, what makes you even think that Gordon's going to win 2 rounds here? You pretty much have to count on Santos completely gassing out after the first, and it just doesn't make sense to me. And next comment, will you marry me? Saying, hey, Uncle Weezy, can you explain by what you mean by elevation? How does that affect the fighters? Is the air quality different in Utah? I'm unfamiliar. It's just when you go up in the elevation, there's less oxygen in the air. So when you go to another locale, for instance, when I was a kid, I went to Colorado with my family on vacation, and people sometimes get altitude sickness when they go up in thin air. There's less oxygen in the air, and your body requires oxygen, obviously, in order to function properly. But there's an adjustment period when you change elevations in order for your blood to kind of be oxygenated. It oxygenates at different rates depending on where you are elevation-wise. So if you're somebody who trains, let's say, in Florida, at sea level, and then you fly out to Mexico City, which is like 10,000 feet, and then you fight the next day, your body isn't even going to be acclimated to be able to perform peak performance at that altitude, because it takes time for your body to get used to the differing levels of oxygen that's in the air. So while Utah is not super high elevation, it does matter. And if somebody's got suspect conditioning already, it's not going to get better as they go up 4,500 feet. That's how that works. Spurlock saying, Weezy, you the man. If any fight went to a draw, what fight do you think that would be? Okay, so we've got to look for something where we could potentially see a foul, or we could potentially see a 10-8 round, but where both guys are durable and they could see the scorecard. So I could see Fletcher Lusa ending in a draw. Not Lacerda Altamirano, because I don't see that fight finishing inside the distance, and I don't think Quilling Perrin. I don't see anybody having like an explosive round there. Fletcher Lusa is a good candidate for a draw. Potentially Santos Gordon if it goes the full 3. And and Aldo Dvalishvili, because the fight, probably does go the distance, and I could see maybe Aldo having a 10-8 round in the third or something like that. That could potentially be a draw, but those would be the only ones that I would consider a draw bet on. Aldo Dvalishvili, the Fletcher Lusa fight, and potentially the Santos Gordon fight. John Smith saying, will you marry me? Less oxygen in the air at higher altitude. Yes, sir. And the general is taking notes. Addicted to Combat saying, I used to watch interviews all the time. I simply don't have time anymore as a bettor. Useless information anyway. But it sure was entertaining listening to Rockhold's manic rambling this week. Yeah, a lot of these guys do have a lot of very interesting things to say for sure. Brian is taking notes. What's up, Brian? We got Mushroom saying, Woodson round 2, Costa round 2, Pedro round 1. Thoughts? I think Woodson round 2, 3 are where I think he finishes, but I think those are all probably the most likely finishing rounds for all those fighters. And Jarno Portilla, Mr. Finland, is in the room. What's up, Jarno? Saying, what's up, Weezy? War Tabura. Let's get that plus 350 money on Marcin Tabura here. Man, he's, like I said, he's more experienced. He's fought the better brand of competition. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, for many, many years. Great top game, great takedown defense, really good switch kicks. I think he's got a great chance to win this fight. At plus 350, could not pass that up. Austin G saying, Colby had also only been finished once by submission until Kamaru, and 4 knockdowns in 2 fights. Jorge once in 2008 and Kamaru recently. Kamaru has been showing his power and carries it all 5. Follow your read. Yeah, for sure. Austin, you're absolutely right. I mean, like the power numbers that Usman has been displaying in these last 5-6 fights are fantastic. And Masvidal had not been getting finished. Colby had not been getting finished. And he finished Colby once out of 2 times, and he finished Masvidal once out of 2 times. And so, yeah, I mean, absolutely, man. And then he finishes Gilbert Burns, I think, in the second round. So definitely, it's live. The finish is live. It's just that my read in this one is that it goes the distance. But, it's a fight, man. Anything can happen. And Kamaru's power is absolutely no joke. And you're absolutely right, Austin. The power is not to be ignored lately. Robert Sella saying, Yanis Kalikas, Weezy, the money. Greeks dominate the MMA gambling game. Let's get it, man. Yeah, dude, I'm also of Greek descent, just like Nick Kalikas, just like Yanni the Greek. Just like a lot of the other guys out there. I think we got a couple other Greeks in the community as well. The Greeks, they love to gamble, man. They definitely love to gamble. Daz Files saying, great story yesterday. Anyone missed it, go back and watch it. Thank you, Daz Files. I appreciate that. For those of you just joining us, story time with Uncle Weezy happened yesterday on Just the Tip. It's time stamped in there. Go check it out if you haven't already. Like I said, an inspirational tale that I hope will inspire you to do great things in life. Mushroom saying, Nigerian NyQuil will put this dude to sleep. Usman round 4 KO. I love it, man. Fender Jazz saying, agree, fighting is selfish. And I can't believe these guys shouting out God and busting heads for Jesus. Yeah, that I would like to thank Jesus for allowing me to pulverize this man's head into a jelly. I always find that funny too. But, whatever it is that you got to use, as motivation, you use it. Because when you're getting into a cage and fighting for your life, man, your head has to be in the right spot, and it has to be a selfish thing, right? Because, it's just something that it takes everything that you have. And I mean, your ability to fight through adversity, to take pain, to do things that ordinary people want nothing to do with. You got to be selfish. You got to have a little bit of a screw loose, man. Daz File saying, Daniel De Silva, finish only, was thinking about it. Yeah, the thing about De Silva is about the finish only is I think he's just as likely to get finished if he doesn't get that first round submission, because, he's one of these killer be killed fighters that if he doesn't, he just only knows how to go for the finish. So if he doesn't get it early, he's going to give up and find the door late. So I could see Altamirano getting a late finish. Altamirano round 3 could not be another potential Lambo play this week. Low T City Ortega saying my parlay this weekend is Hunsucker Pedro under 1.5. Love that. Lusa Fletcher over 1.5. I love that. Minus 115. That gets the Uncle Weezy stamp of approval right there, my friend. That is a really good one. And we were joking around, Brady and I, about how you could just take any bet that you have this week and just parlay it with the fight doesn't go to decision for Hunsucker Pedro and turn that minus 125 into minus 115 or whatever it is. It's a very small amount, but I mean, if that fight went the full 3 rounds and went to decision, it would be madness. It would be absolute madness. Nathan 98 saying, on the topic of pizza, Weezy, what would you consider to be the top 5 pound for pound pizzas? Okay, so deep dish, I'm going with like Lou Malnati's, like Gino's East, Uno's Dues. All those are a close second in my opinion. When we're talking about thin crust pizza here in the city of Chicago, Pequod's has got an excellent thin crust pizza in my opinion. I go to Mr. V's over in Forest Park in Chicago. I also go to Barnaby's Pizza in Niles. Tavern style pizza, absolutely mind-blowing how good it is. I wish I could get some right now, but they're closed. But yeah, Barnaby's and Mr. V's are my favorite tavern style thin crust pizzas. Even though they're not even really very close to me, I make that trip. I'll drive 20, 25 minutes each way to get a pizza from there. And in terms of Lou Malnati's does really great work. Like I said, I used to work there back when I was in college. So I think they do great stuff. But what else could I give you? Pequod's, Lou Malnati's, Gino's East, Mr. V's, Barnaby's. That's what I'm giving you guys. We got Daz Files saying Low T City Ortega. Ortega's or LOLs have got that under over last week, hoping for a repeat. Yeah, man, it's great when they hit. You get the non-violent bet, you get the violence bet, and they both hit. Any parlay that hits is a great feeling. Jacksonville Zoe in the room saying, "What's up, Weezy? Let's finish out these 12 weeks with a big night. Let's go, man. If these 2 underdog shots hit for me in Tabura and Santos, it's going to be a party at Weezy's, man, because I'll be up just from that, like over 6 units. So that would be fantastic. Definitely would love a Leo Santos and Marcin Tabura win this week, but we'll see how it goes, man. But good to see you, Jacksonville Zoe, checking in from Pub Sports Radio. Always good to hang out with you, man. Daz File saying Daniel Da Silva fight under 2.5 minus 180. Seems like a good one, but minus 180 is way overpriced. Yeah, it is. It really is. It's one of those ones that you kind of had to get in on early, and if you did, job less. Great work. Great read. A killer be killed fighter like Silva at plus money for the under 2.5, which is where it opened. I think at like plus 150 or something. If you got on that, job less, man. But at this point, it is overpriced. Does it probably hit? Yeah, but you're way overpaying for it. Flyweights just don't finish at a big rate. And let's see here. They just opened a Chicago deep dish place here in Ottawa. Had my first tonight, and oh my God, I'm in love with it. That's awesome, dude. I'm glad you liked it, man, because, deep dish pizza isn't for everyone. And the New Yorkers, they think it's absolutely disgusting because they're used to their thin crust pizza, and they do their own thing really well over there on the East Coast. But, man, it's an acquired taste for some. But if it's something that you like, I mean, it's just sinful. It's rich. It's hard to pass up, man. Trust me, it's really good. John Smith saying, how would you cap Kamaru versus Jiri now that he wants to fight a light heavyweight instead of going after Canelo? Yeah, I mean, I think that Jiri would land a big shot at some point and put Kamaru out. There's a reason for weight classes. So yeah, I don't think that would be a good day for Kamaru. But let's get him at 185 before we bring him up to 205, right? Mushroom saying, Uncle Weezy, I just wanted to say thanks for all the hard work, shows, and content you provided us over these last 3 months, as always. Much respect, sir. Enjoy some free time. You deserve it. I appreciate that, man. It feels great to hear that, too, that you guys appreciate the time that I put in, man. And that's why I say, if you haven't already, join that Patreon. It's only $5 a month. And if you want access to these analytics and you are a serious MMA gambler, $20 a month ain't bad. I mean, like I said, I don't think you're going to get a deal like that anywhere out there on the web in terms of MMA analytics at this level for that cheap. But yeah, man, I really appreciate you guys hanging out, supporting the show, chatting. It means a lot, man. We got 39 of you guys hanging out in here right now. We got Papa Chuck saying, look for me outside the right side of the fighters entrance tunnel this weekend at 278. I'll be wearing a dare hat and wearing black and red. We got to watch out for our guy, Papa Chuck, man. I'm going to send out a tweet if I see your ass for sure, dude. Jarno was saying there has to be somebody who parlayed Walker Santos fight doesn't go to decision with every other bet. Yeah, I know, man. I know. I remember that one. And that was one of those ones that I can't believe went to decision. I just can't believe. And that was a 5-round fight, not even a 3-round fight. And it went the full 5, and they didn't do jack shit the entire 25 minutes. What a garbage main event that was, man. Oh, Jarno, that's bad memories for a lot of people, dude. Ottawa gang, Fender Jazz, Little T City, Ortega checking in from Ottawa. We got Daz Files saying Mushroom, good vibes. Appreciate all of you guys. Man, it's after midnight here in Chicago. I'm going to let you guys go. Victor DeJesus saying deep dish pizza. You mean tomato and cheese soup? Yeah, dude, he's a Michigan guy. So, I mean, you should actually like it. But it's not soup, man. You got to get it from Lou Malnati's. I mean, Vic, when you come to Chicago, man, I'll take you out for one. And if you don't like it, I promise I'll take you right over to Barnaby's and we'll get some thin crust that you'll love, dude. But Daz Files saying, thanks, Weezy in chat. Thank all you guys for hanging out. Thank you, Tajik Bey, for the donation. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for coming to the channel, hanging out here, talking MMA. Let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC 278. And I'll be available on Twitter during the time off. Don't forget to reach out. Sign up for the Patreon if you haven't already. Appreciate all you guys. And let's make some money for UFC 278. Let's get it, you guys. I'm going to check out right now. And keep an eye out. There could still be a Jay Parent interview if we hammer out a time on the MMA Engine YouTube channel tomorrow. And I will drop a greasy 4-leg parlay right here on my channel as soon as I put one together. As soon as these books decide it's important enough to put out props for a pay-per-view card. We got Mushroom saying, or we got Papa Chuck saying, enjoy your time off. You deserve it. 1:15 a.m. Philly time. Mushroom's still with us. Kiwi saying, cheers. Appreciate it. Appreciate you, Kiwi. Nathan 98 saying, thanks, Weezy. Have a good night. Killer Gorilla saying, stay safe, brother. Mushroom saying, let's go. Banana Boat Float saying, let's get this money. Let's do it, you guys. Everybody have a great night, and I will talk to you all soon. Keep an eye out for the greasy 4-leg parlay and potentially for the Jay Parent interview. Oh, and Victor says he's from New York City. No wonder you don't like the deep dish. Okay, got it, man. Got it. You live in Michigan, but you're from NYC, and you guys got that thin crust going on out there that you guys love. Big ups to all the pizza lovers out there, man. Deep dish, thin crust, it's all good, man. And I will see you guys soon. Checking out. Let's go.